This is K-12 Tech Talk. K-12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K-12 Techs for K-12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K-12 technology topics and issues.
Live from the somethingcool.com studios, this is the K-12 Tech Talk podcast. I am Josh. This is episode 147. We are, a week and a half out from Christmas. Whole lot of movie watching going on. But instead of watching movies tonight, I think they were watching a movie in the green room together. I don't know what movie it was. With me tonight, as always, is Chris.
Hello.
And Mark.
Is he always with us?
Well, it
Come
does.
on, guys.
It does feel like he's part-time at times.
The movie was Elf. Elf is like 20 years old.
Hate that movie. I strongly dislike Elf. Elf and what's the Tom Hanks CGI train movie?
Sure.
Hate that movie too.
What's that movie? What's the movie called?
Polar Express. Cannot watch it. Cannot watch it.
Saving Private Ryan.
Good try, Mark. I don't know that there's any trains in Saving.
Which is a bummer at the end. They get there. He doesn't even want to come home.
Love Saving Private Ryan. Great movie.
Are we talking about Polar Express?
Yes.
Snows. So I guess this plays well into what I'm about to tell you. I played Grinch. I played the Grinch the other day. We were up in a building, elementary building, set the scene. Elementary school, it's early. Teachers aren't quite there. There's just a handful of teachers there. Students aren't there. Me and one of my guys are up. We're kind of auditing some inventory and Chromebook carts, which is so much fun.
Mhm.
And I go into this room. It's dark. I turn the lights on. I'm kind of searching where's the cart? I turn to my right and it's okay. I see the cart. It's in a weird location. So I set my Chromebook down. I set my scanner down on a student desk and I'm like, I'm gonna move this cart and situate it so that I can open the door and boop, 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 scan with the scanner in an easier fashion because the cart was oriented more towards the door and I couldn't reach it. So I grab the cart and it won't move, like the wheels are locked. So I look down and I hit the wheel brakes with my toe and you hear that, tunk and okay, I can move it. So I put the sound effects in the story. I'm just telling you guys, Emmy award winning. I grab the cart and I turn the cart. My goal wasn't even like a 90-degree turn. We're probably 22 degrees into the 90-degree turn. And I notice things start falling. And I look up and there is a Christmas display of a nice Christmas tree on top of the cart with ornaments, lights. There's a thing on the wall. As I'm turning the cart, I realize that the tree is held. It is not vertically stable. And as I turn the cart, I realize that what is holding the tree up is the tension from the light power cord to the wall. So as I adjust the cart, I turn the cart, the tension on that cord changes and the tree falls.
It's a
to the ground.
Very teacher thing to do.
Oh, yeah, yes. Right.
Teacher budget.
Yes. Well, no, because this room didn't have the personal
teacher creativity.
This didn't have the personal ice maker sitting on top of the cart with the Keurig. That
teacher engineering.
I can plug it in and hold the tree up at the same time.
Yes. So the tree comes crashing to the ground. Ornaments going, those plastic ball ornaments with glitter. They across the room.
I was going to say, what's the noise? What's the noise?
Like 10 of them across the room. Other ornaments hitting the ground. A white a marker board falls off the wall. You know me.
Can I just guess that you just froze, sat it, and then just threw your hands up in the air and shrugged it and said, "God."
That did cross my mind about just turning around, closing the door, and leaving. But I realized there were security cameras, and like I would have been in trouble. I may have uttered a few words, but my arms did go up. So I spent the next probably 15 minutes chasing ornaments around the room, trying to get the
Aw.
tree to stand
Trying to
up,
save Christmas. You were trying
Try-
to save Christmas.
trying to save Christmas. I put as many ornaments back on the tree as my patience would allow. And if you knew me, you would know that my patience does not allow for many ornaments to be placed. I probably hung 2. Um, so I did what I needed to do audit wise, took a deep breath, looked at the mess I made, walked out of the room, closed the door. As I'm closing the door, I see the teacher coming down the hall, and I'm like,
Ah, that
"Oh,
sucks.
duh." So I say, Miss Smith, I have to tell on myself. I have to rat myself out. Being the bigger human here, right?
Because you were hoping to write a note or send an email.
Oh, that was not happening. If I didn't see her, I wasn't going to tell her this story.
Oh,
Blame it on, the Earth's movement, whatever.
custodian.
I wasn't gonna throw a custodian under the bus.
Oh.
So I tell her, I'm like, I'm ratting myself out. I'm sorry. I knocked over your tree. Ornaments went all over the room. To be honest, I didn't hang them all back up. I got a couple back up. She looks at me and says, "That's all right. It's okay. No big deal." I said, "Just tell your kids the Grinch knocked over the Christmas tree. They won't mind." So that's how my Wednesday. That's how my Wednesday started.
You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch.
What's wrong with your voice?
I was being the Grinch.
Oh, okay. So
you really are a heel.
you guys, have you knocked over any Christmas displays this week?
No.
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 Mark?
No.
You okay? All right.
We have a big Christmas pageant tomorrow, so I'm excited for that.
Ooh, a pageant.
What performance?
Are you dressing up as a Christmas owl?
Yes.
What's the difference between a pageant and just a program?
I don't know. The word, I just said the word. I'm
Oh.
sorry.
All
Sorry.
right. We don't have any news tonight. I guess Mark, is the newsroom on vacation already? Are they not there downstairs?
No, we ran out of ink, so no news. Sorry.
Okay.
We gave Mark one responsibility.
I know. He let
Show
those guys
up with news.
let him go on vacation early.
Oh, news. I thought you said show up with
No.
booze.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say some other word.
You're as cuddly as a cactus.
We do have some news. The VMware news. Do we want to get into that real quick while we're in the news segment? So Broadcom closed the deal with VMware. I guess it was last week. Apparently they've already made layoffs, and they've come out with a press release saying how they're going to change licensing. This kind of got some people worked up, high and low of it. I'm not going to read the press release in its entirety, but it looks like they're taking, VMware had Essentials Plus, Enterprise, and they all were varying costs. But I think from what this press release from Broadcom makes it sound like, they're going to force all their customers in either to their Cloud Foundation platform, which is their flagship enterprise hybrid cloud solution, or their vSphere Foundation, which delivers more simplified enterprise-grade workload platform for mid-sized to smaller customers. So to me, the way I read this is they're going to force everybody into the higher tier, more expensive tier. So it's funny. I already started having budget conversations with our CFO today, and I warned him about this. I'm like, I don't know what it's going to cost, but my guess is it's going to be more expensive. So just be ready for that. So yeah, if you're a VMware customer, you might want to be paying attention to this and start conversations with your resellers earlier, and maybe look at Hyper-V if you haven't already.
We do Nutanix over here. I like Nutanix. Okay.
I think you're one of like 3 people.
I am. We all know each other. Just kidding. There's a bunch of us.
Me, you, Bill, Larry.
Anybody ever tell you you're as charming as an eel? I hate when companies get bought out by other companies. I think it stunts growth for a little while just because they're like, oh, hold on, we got to evaluate all that's going on kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Uh, I can't really quickly spout off a time when a company buys a company and it's like, great.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Buyouts are never fun.
I don't really have like oh no, I can tell you a top 3 when it was a wonderful thing.
I mean, I can think of a company that we worked with for about 10 years. They were bought out when we first bought them, and there was a slump for 2 to 3 years. And then they started to kind of pick it up a little bit. But it hasn't changed things for any huge ways, good or bad. But in the beginning, it was like there's a lot of bad stuff happening.
Besides, I guess the one big one we know that's been wonderful is Twitter to X. Right? Elon's really turned that thing around. He's really turned that thing around.
The worry I would have with that statement is, VMware being as widely used and as critical of an infrastructure as it is, you don't want to slump with that.
Right.
Like that needs to continue to work. So it's going to be interesting to see this one kind of shake out. Chris, do you want to? I talked to Chris Illingworth a couple times in the last week. I don't know why I was so lucky to get to talk to him a couple times this week, but Chris Illingworth from Fortinet, they are real big on, it's E-rate season. It's that time of year when people are looking at switching and firewalls. The Fortinet or FortiGate, I guess it'd be Fortinet from the gate to the switch, is starting to take hold and get more popular. Chris, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Fortinet and how they can get a hold of Mr. Illingworth?
Yeah, Chris Illingworth. He's not a vile one. He doesn't have termites in his smile. He does have all the sweet tenderness of a seasick crocodile. You can email fortinetpodcast@fortinet.com to learn more about Fortinet, get your switching on, all that kind of good stuff. Chris Illingworth is your guy. FortinetPodcast@Fortinet.com.
I have to know, do you have the Grinch lyrics memorized, or is this because you went heroin?
They're in my heart.
All right. Mark, since there was no news that you didn't do any news, you want to tell us about our first listener email?
Yeah. So our first one, let's start with the Reddit thread, because I thought that was a very helpful one. A gentleman posts on Reddit, Master Maintenance 672. I always love saying the names of the Reddit names because they're always fun. They're building esports, and a lot of times when we talk about esports, we talk about PCs and computers and their needs, but what do we do about consoles? This person was asking about Nintendo Switches on their school network, wanted to know what to whitelist, what to allow. What do you need to do in terms of your SSIDs and your VLANs and your allow lists? So, gentlemen, I know you have esports. Do you have consoles in your districts? Chris, what's going on with your district?
We
consoles?
do in our esports room under our esports program. So we've set those things up in particular ways, knowing those MAC addresses and giving them a particular set of a VLAN of, we know where they're at, but we don't allow it outside of that. And it's funny that this was posted because just this week we had a student. So our office is at the high school. We have an open door with a cart that blocks it. So if you're having a tech problem, you can come and see us. We direct you to the library first for Chromebook, Google issues, but we do want kids to feel like they can come up to this counter. They can talk to us. We want teachers to be able to come up to us just the same. But anyways, this kid shows up and he's like, hey, we're trying to hook up an Xbox in Mr. So-and-so's room right now to do Fortinet, to do Fortnite. Because we're doing a thing on Gravity, and he says, like, could someone come down right now? And everybody's just kind of staring at each other, and then they ended up staring at me, waiting for me to give the response of no, we're not coming down right now. And the bigger picture thing of lack of preparation, this needs to come from a teacher, not a student showing up to hook up an Xbox to a projector. We're not going to hardwire an Xbox in right away without any like, what is this,
Well,
for? What are we doing? The whole
You
bit.
got to play games on it first.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
give
you
us
gotta
some
test
prep.
it. Yeah,
Give
you
us
gotta
some
test
prep
it.
time. And quickly trying to tell this kid there's some stuff involved here. Everything that's getting plugged in to our network or getting whether it's plugged in or joining the Wi-Fi, it's not just as easy as that anymore. And even in this case, this particular room, we were thinking through it. It has a VGA run, and this Xbox isn't going to need HDMI, so we're going to have to figure an adapter, and is it going to work with the Xbox, all that kind of stuff. So we allow them as far as the esports program goes, but besides that, we would just say no.
The only consoles we have are console TVs. I will say my kid has taken his Switch to school and played Mario Kart with his advisory hour on the projector and smartboard in the classroom. But from an official standpoint, we don't have any esports program in our high school. It's one thing that's kind of been on my radar for a couple of years to start, but unfortunately we don't have that. So we haven't had to officially cross this bridge with a Nintendo Switch yet.
Very similar, Josh. We don't have consoles, but we are definitely seeing more and more people starting to ask for support for them. I did in researching this article, I found a couple of resources we'll share in the show notes. One was from the Reddit article itself. Another reader had shared an article from PlayVersus. It's an esports company. And they have a very, very, very detailed list of the different games, and your IT checklist is in your inclusion list. So the kind of the network requirements that you need to do. The other one that I found was from Oklahoma. It was the Oklahoma esports organization, and they have technical support document, and I'll share it with you guys now and make sure that we put that in the show notes, where you have all the different games. And then you can click on a game like Nintendo or
cool.
Xbox or Steam, and then say, all right, what do I need to do for that? And it kind of gives you the ports that you need to allow, the domains that you need to check, and then a couple of other requirements for peer-to-peer or whether it's any sort of router settings. Very, very cool. Keep place to reference. I just recommend bookmarking both of these.
Yeah, that's neat.
In case you have troubles with your consoles or any other esports games and want to try it out.
I expected Chris to sing the theme from Oklahoma, the musical.
I got one song in my soul tonight.
Oh, just French. Okay. What else
You got garlic in your soul.
The other one, actually, Josh, you were the one who brought this one. I wasn't even aware of this article until you pointed this out one to me. This is on K12 Tech Pro. And I gotta say, when you've seen it all and then you see something like this, somebody posted, and we'll hide the names and any sort of other identifying information, but somebody posted, I have a teacher that has apparently been approved to paint their walls. I was like, oh, this is fine. This is very nice.
Good. Cool.
I don't think we would allow our teachers to paint their walls. Like, that's a standard in our district.
I painted my classroom when I was a teacher.
Did you really?
Yeah, I painted it and walked away. No, don't tell anybody. But they got permission to paint their walls with nickel-based paint, which I had no idea was even a thing, which prevents any outside signals from reaching into their classroom and preventing the class WLAN from leaving the room. And the person has a lot of concerns about what that does for signals in or out of the classroom, and they have an emergency alert app, and how does that handle things? So I've never heard of such a thing in terms of nickel-based paint, and I cannot imagine why anybody would want to paint their classroom with that paint. For what reason, first off, and then not thinking about through the different repercussions of that one. So shocking to say the least. That's a thing in classrooms.
Yeah, I saw that article, and I kind of had a back and forth with the person that posted it, saying, okay, what's the rationale from the teacher about doing this? Like, what's the real reason here? Are they afraid of or they have concerns of RF and cancer threat, or like what's the problem? And I think it kind of boils down to removing student distractions from their cell phones and blocking service. And I commented, man, I was in a conversation years ago back when we had a cell phone problem. I'm like, back then I was like, well, why don't we just let's get a jammer, throw it in the ceiling and block cell service. And it turns out that's illegal. I did I did a Google search and found an FCC page that quotes FCC rules that says any intentional act to block cell service or other RF frequency, and it doesn't matter if it's in the home, classroom, business, whatever, is a federal violation. So I gave that guy, the person who posted this originally, I gave him that link as kind of backup to maybe have another conversation about this paint.
I commented, like, I think get your safety director involved. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way that should fly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no way.
Yeah, when you
I don't
think
know.
about emergencies, people needing to use your cell phones, yeah, it's crazy.
And that's a decision you're not going to easily reverse. I mean, how do you get rid of paint on the wall? You are removing it through, well, it's got nickel in it, so are you
Yeah.
even able to use traditional paint strippers to?
Yeah,
I
are
don't know.
you sanding it? And if you sand it, do you have to wear a respirator because the dust has a metal in it? Like that,
Yeah,
it's
It's
got
crazy.
all sorts of problems written all over it.
So to that teacher, you're a monster, Mr. Grinch.
I think the Grinch musical needs to end.
Oh, did I kill that bit?
Yeah, you ran that into the ground. That's worse than the green room bit.
Previous school district, I remember reading this article about microwave frequency potentially impacting Wi-Fi.
Oh, absolutely.
And I tried to get maintenance director to like lock arms with me that we shouldn't allow microwaves in classrooms. And we both said something to our superintendent, and the superintendent said he's not going there.
No, but I mean, it's documented. Microwaves really screwed with 2.4 bad. Yeah.
But this paint thing is a whole nother, it's a next level thing.
Yeah.
Because that's intentional. Like, teacher with the microwave, that's not
Right.
she's just trying to get her leftover chicken strips warmed up. This is like going out of your way to block. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a lot of emergency service repercussions, let alone renovation repercussions with that, I think. So if you've had something similar like that come up, wanting to install a Faraday cage or chicken wire in a classroom, email us, let us know. We'll be curious, or hop on Pro. Like Mark, like you said, you think you've seen everything, and then something like this. Like how often are conversations like this being had? And I bet you it's more frequent than what we realize.
Sure.
I've had a teacher repeatedly unplug access points in their room because they had RF concerns about that's going to cause cancer, stuff like that. And then at the same time, after they unplugged the access point, call and complain that Wi-Fi service is bad and they can't use their Chromebooks in their classroom. Like, well, what do you think is going to happen? You just unplug the device that's offering that service. So, whatever.
I just Googled this paint because I'd never heard this.
Yeah.
$200 a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because it's nickel.
PTO
Right.
probably paid for it.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, nickels are 5 cents each. Think about how many nickels it would take to go around your room.
That's a lot of nickels.
That's a lot of nickels.
I'll tell you that right now.
And heavy. Like, yeah. It's a lot of glue. Let's see. So the next couple episodes, we're going to be recapping 2023 as we saw it and what we're seeing for 2024. This week, we're going to kind of recap the top stories that we saw from 2023 Not gonna lie, Mark's done the most of the work on this list, so we'll let him lead us along the way. We'll hold hands and kind of step through it with him. But Mark, why don't you take it away? What top stories of 2023?
Well, we kind of focused on three main themes, and there's definitely a lot of sub stories within these. But the three themes we want to talk about are the ones that we've talked about here on the podcast quite a lot, and we've seen them talked about on Reddit and on other different forums. But these are what we felt were the top three themes that we've have impacted the K-12 technology world the most, specifically our industry, which is kind of the tech support, district leadership, district technology stuff. So the first one, which I don't think anybody is going to guess anything other than this one, was the first story that really hit us in the start of this year, which is artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence really hit the K-12 environment very quickly in 2023 in January with the introduction of ChatGPT, and everybody saying block it, block it, block it. And then that quickly turned into, well, we can't block it, we can't escape this. How do we make sort of meaningful usage of it? And Josh and Chris, you and I have talked quite a lot on this one, and I think our thoughts and opinions have changed over the last few months. But you know, where did you start 2023 on artificial intelligence? Where are you ending it?
Okay, since you guys aren't talking, I'll go. I agree completely. The beginning stance was block it, because everybody, when GPT in particular was first released, actually it was just over a year ago. I brought it to my admin team and showed them, and it wrote a paper on ancient Egypt in like 30 seconds. Blew everybody's minds. We took the stance of block it then. We've slowly rolled that back for teachers, because Mark, as you alluded to, there is a meaningful use from a teacher standpoint, from a curricular standpoint, of differentiating learning, differentiating reading segments or selections from books. It can help teachers create lesson plans, language arts type stuff, foreign languages. But from a student aspect, we still, our tenet of what we allow and what we block, the very first thing, I guess, litmus test kind of thing, is that student data privacy. So still, there are a number of them that category is blocked because most of them don't adhere to student data privacy rules. So until there becomes a tool, and I'm sure there will be, you know, Grammarly claims they are now, you know, they've been AI for a while now to help with grammar. When there's a tool that's available that does meet privacy rules and isn't going to resell it or isn't learning from the content you are putting into it, which I think is the whole point of these types of large language models. I don't know that we'll really take the step of helping students use it. Now, personally, my son knows how to use GPT. He's been using it. It's helping him write emails and stuff like that. He's used it on more than one occasion. So there is definitely a real life application to these tools that is what's going to be in focus over the next 5-10 years. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I can remember, and I think it was like October, November last year, a teacher friend asking me if I had heard of ChatGPT, and he had it on his phone. And we were at whatever, a friend's house, and we were goofing around and asking basic questions, and you were just kind of like learning what it did. And it was really just giving you knowledge back that you're like, you know, this is like a glorified Google search result, you know, that it put into some paragraphs. But to then fast forward that I've had teacher requests when ChatGPT isn't working well and they think it's something with our content filter, that they are using it for ideas for lesson plans. To myself using it, I've used it a couple of times when I'm needing to write some quick narratives, you know, give me 500 words or less, and then condense it down. And then I take it and I, you know, read it myself and personalize it myself, that kind of thing. I can see in a year how much it has changed and how much people have started to get like aware of what AI is. and kind of where it's tracking to be. So I think it's going to be, of course, we're going to see it more and more. Even I'm messing with the Midwest Tech Talk tech conferences for March and July, and we use Eventbrite for ticketing. I was in Eventbrite today, and it says, "Do you want to make an event from scratch?" And it was like, "Or do you want to use Eventbrite's AI?" That's new. And it was like, we're going to ask you a couple questions and we're going to, fill out all your stuff for you. So I think we're going to start seeing it in more and more things. And I think there's this line of like you said with Grammarly, we're going to call it AI. We're going to brand it AI now because that's the trendy thing.
Right.
I'm kind of over that already, I think. Like, can we just add it as a feature? Do we have to call everything AI?
AI. Well, Canva has AI. Whatever. Mark?
Yeah, it was one that it definitely turned into a trend of every vendor, every ed tech vendor saying that they have AI. There is definitely a lot of work for us to do though in the K-12 world. One of the resources I wanted to link within the show notes is the CoSN Gen AI readiness checklist. It is a great kind of a conversation starter with your leadership team and a good way to kind of formulate how your approach is at the district level. And it will raise questions that you hadn't thought about. I mean, we talk a lot about the usage of it and cheating, but this is really more around like what are your legal policies and what are your terms and conditions that you're agreeing to as you start to do this. So definitely a plug for CoSN's resource on Gen AI, especially as we get into 2024, which will be another year of the heck is AI going to do to our classrooms now. So definitely I think one of the bigger stories was AI for K-12 technology.
I'll tell you what AI is not going to do in that classroom with nickel paint. It's not going to do a damn thing.
Nothing. Second topic, I don't think anybody was going to be surprised about this one, cybersecurity. So
tell me more. What is this?
Yeah, it's that firewall thing we talk about a lot.
I turned mine off.
Yeah, such a pain to have a firewall.
Yeah, I know.
Cybersecurity was definitely something that has been growing over the last 5 to 10 years, but I think 2023 really took a different turn with it. What we have noticed a lot is that ransomware attacks have transitioned. It used to be all about harden your systems. You don't want to allow somebody to take you down and hold the keys to the castle, so you're offline until you pay a ransom. Now, attackers, and this is one that both MS Isaac and CISA have come out with and said be very careful of, that attackers are coming in. They're stealing as much data as fast as possible, and that is their ransom. They have their data from you. You can't do anything about it once they steal your data. And that is definitely a lot of the headlines that we saw in 2023 was ransom exfiltration and ransom, and then data exfiltration and then ransoming. So that was really definitely the pivot. The other pivot that we saw really is around third-party app mitigation and student accounts being the big target. Gentlemen, what are your thoughts on cybersecurity, and how have your thoughts changed in the last year?
I think the trend from ransom to this data exfiltration makes sense when you look at it, and I think we've talked about this before. When you look at it from the aspect of the amount of prep work, money, defenses that schools have put in to prevent ransomware or to help prevent ransomware, backups, next gen AV, which we're going to talk about later. The next easiest target, or the next easiest way to make money or threat, is to, instead of just encrypting that data, is to pull that data out and hold it ransom from a threat of making it public. And that's you couple that with the threat has shifted from faculty staff accounts getting leveraged to now what we've seen with Clark County and Jefferson County, Colorado, where student accounts were, it appears to be the original entry vector. Again, we've put up all of these defenses. We've put all this work into securing faculty and staff accounts with multi-factor authentication for remote access, multiple steps, strong passwords, passphrases, long passwords. You're not doing that for students. No one that I know of is requiring students to have multi-factor authentication. You might require long passwords, but you're not doing MFA. Again, it's the next easy target. It's the next easier method. I think that's been a huge trend for this past year.
I think for me, and I was trying to think of the word. I don't know that it's fear, like the fear that I have of the bad guys. And again, I don't know if that's the right word. Maybe it is, or the anxiety I get, the responsibility maybe that my position feels about knowing about the bad guys and staying up to date on what's going on with what they're up to kind of thing. I think it's shifted where I don't know. I used to look around at my neighbors and they hadn't been attacked, right?
Yeah.
And now I have several schools that are within easy miles of me that have gone through something bad, have gone through ransomware. So I guess there's just a more 2023 brought more awareness, like that the likelihood of it happening to me is a lot higher than I really thought it was. Maybe the blissful feeling of it's not going to happen to me is gone because of what Josh just mentioned. Those things have changed. We're not just worried about the teacher locking their, we left the day of like all I'm caring about is does the teacher lock their computer when they leave so that the grade book's left open.
Yeah.
We moved past that. And then we're worried about faculty, staff, that they're going to click on the bad link. Well, now we're worried about our kids. We're worried about all users. And we always said we were worried about all users, but now we really are. We really are aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost the comparison of how cybersecurity has changed to how parenting has changed over the last few years, right? So we used to think about cybersecurity in terms of how do you lock down the castle and you protect everything and make sure that, nobody can get through your backups and nobody can get through your firewalls and your filters and things. But nowadays, ransomware is so quick and so easy that it just takes one person opening up a spreadsheet or clicking the wrong link and data being stolen and then ransomed. Very similar to, my parents always say that used to be as long as I was in the door, I was safe. But nowadays, the threat for kids is not what's on the street; it's what's in their pocket with cell phones and things. And that's a scarier threat, to think that the threat is so much closer to the heart and so much easier. So, we saw the beginning of the school year begin with the White House bringing everybody together to talk about this issue. And I know we have lots of thoughts.
We didn't see it because we weren't there.
Lots of thoughts about that without us being there. But I think the important part is this conversation reached the highest level of our government, and so it's now reached a new fever pitch in terms of its importance both at the federal, state, and local level. So
thanks for bringing these hurtful feelings back up, Mark.
Listen, we could make a joke about us going to the White House and some of us being really excited about that, and maybe others not. So
one not, but yeah, whatever.
I'd say something, but you probably censor me. Hey, go back to your third-party app thing. What did you say about that? I don't think we really answered that one.
Oh yeah, how we also need to make sure that we're maintaining and mitigating any risks in third-party apps, vendors. We've seen a lot of third-party apps breached and notifying school districts that their information has been compromised. So it's not just about protecting your own castle; it's about making sure that your vendors that you're working with and you're giving data to are securing their castle.
Which is like hurting cats, but I'll talk about that in a minute too. I've got a little rant I'm cooking up
about cats.
Cats.
Yeah. I knocked over Christmas trees. I'm gonna rant about cats. Get ready.
Okay. Well, and this is a perfect transition because the third area that we felt was a big focus area and something that we've seen a lot of both within our organizations, within our personal lives, and within some of the forums is the issue of burnout. Burnout has hit a lot of people. It has hit a lot of people in school districts. We've seen a lot of tech directors and CIOs really struggling with the weight of the pandemic, the weight of their role post-pandemic. trying to figure out how to handle turnover across your organizations with the amount of staff turning over in both your leadership as well as your teachers. And then the amount of apps and technologies that were adopted post-pandemic, and us trying to now figure out how to operationalize and move these things into long-term support has been really, really challenging in the organization. So, we just wanted to kind of close out our top stories of 2023 by talking about this issue of burnout and what are some of the things that we're doing to address this, both personally and with our colleagues. So, Josh, you burnt out about cats and
yes,
everything? Okay.
I've been offended. No, I think this goes hand in hand with a post I saw over on Reddit a couple weeks ago about imposter syndrome. And I think you could make an argument that phases or stages of burnout can go hand in hand with imposter syndrome. And I think there's one, we all know this, and I think it validates you to hear it from someone else. So if this validates you, I'm happy. K-12 IT in particular is a rough job in IT. Like there aren't many other industries. It's no secret. I'm older than these other two yahoos that I'm on here with
by a lot.
The old man.
I've although I think Chris has more gray hair in his beard than I do.
You are the fifth person to talk about my gray hair and my beard today.
I'm
not even kidding. The fifth person.
I've been in different industries. I was in healthcare for a while, higher ed for a while. One thing that more K-12 departments have as a characteristic is we are wearing all of the hats. And when you're wearing all of the hats, you might be a system admin, and you might be a server admin, network admin. You're going to cabinet meetings, policy discussions. You're doing all of those tasks that in a business world or a corporation, those are divvied up among multiple people. So I think that's where burnout and imposter syndrome creep in at a higher frequency and probably magnitudes worse than what you would experience in other businesses or other industries. And I just it needs to be said that if you're in K-12 for very long and you're not getting fired or you're not getting written up, your job's getting done, your tasks are getting closed, you're not an imposter. You might be feeling burnt out, but you're not an imposter. You're getting the work done. You're doing the good work. I think that needs to be said. And I don't think people outside of K-12 understand the responsibility that K-12 IT departments hold. Because like we've alluded to already, we've gone from worrying about faculty, worrying about staff, worrying about a superintendent clicking a link, to now worrying about Mark's 60,000 students clicking a link or having a weak password and those documents getting downloaded. The magnitude of responsibility that a department of 4 people have with a user base of 5,000 people, including students and faculty, is ridiculous in these IT departments. And I think that's where this feeling of burnout, you look at Missouri, I think 2 years ago, we had a new superintendent, or last year we had a new superintendent. I think in their, they had to go to those new superintendent classes, whatever. I think the statistic was said that like 30% of schools in Missouri had a new superintendent last year. So you couple that with fresh leadership in a district with IT, a lot of changes are happening. That burnout, that imposter syndrome is rampant right now. I don't know. That's my rant. Sorry, I didn't mention cats. Mark's yawning.
Sorry. That was great.
I just want to say, hey, don't write yourself off just yet.
Don't rot?
It's only in your head you feel left out or looked down on. Just try your best. Try everything you can.
Just a chat.
You know this
GPT?
song?
Oh, I thought you used Chat GPT to write this.
Jimmy Eat World. I forgot. You guys don't listen to good music. This is my burnout, hanging out with you guys.
Sorry, is this a recap of 2023 or 2001?
2003.
2003, sorry.
Mark, you have a commentary on burnout and all that.
I know. I mean, you said it. You said it very well. We're all dealing with this, and it's exhausting. And you kind of wake up and say, "Is this going to be the same thing, or what's what's today going to bring me?" I think one thing that keeps me going is that everybody in this industry is dealing with the same thing, and all of us are dealing with insufficient staff and insufficient budgets, and trying to figure out how to do more with less. What I try to appreciate from that, though, is it forces you to prioritize. It forces you to focus in on what you need to get done for that day, and every day is very different. That is painful and that is hard, but I really enjoy keeping my mind busy and keeping my body busy. And I think there's a job that opened up across the street from my house. I live next to a park, and the park opened up a job for the IT director. And a couple people sent it to me. I'm like, you should apply for this. What could be better than being the IT director at a park? And I can't think of anything.
Outdoor Wi-Fi would suck. Like
Yeah,
that would be
yeah. This is a full-time job, and there are 2 buildings. It's a big one and a big park. And my honest response is I can't think of anything that would be worse than being the IT director of a park. What do you
Like,
do
what do you?
all day?
I was gonna say, what do you do?
What do you do?
Getting Wi-Fi for the squirrels.
Yeah. If the Wi-Fi goes down, I go home. And I think that's what I really enjoy about the job that I'm in and the industry that I'm in, is that it does keep you busy. It keeps your mind and your body going. It is exhausting and it is frustrating, and we're all dealing with burnout. But I think we're all in this battle together, and we're all in this fight together. So like I said, when we talked about burnout a few weeks ago, I really appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate the community that you guys have built. And if you've made it this far on the podcast, then
we built,
maybe you
Mark. We have built.
Yeah.
Include yourself in that.
But I was gonna schmooze on that too. Like, what gets you through burnout, or what has gotten me through every bit of burnout I've ever experienced in my life, is community. Whether it's a person I'm talking to on the phone, whether it's a group text, whether it's Discord, whether it's K-12 Tech Pro, or going to conferences, find people that are like you, which are going to be K-12 techs. Find your K-12 techs that you can hang out with, and hang out with them, even if it's via text, even if it's via a group email, whatever it is. That's going to get you through your burnout. There's been several times when we jump on whatever together, if it's this or if it's a quick phone call, we vomit on each other about how bad the day was. We do a lot of that before we hit the record button here. You need someone to talk to get you through that stuff. So I feel for those. I think it's like the same person almost on that subreddit that's talking about burnout. It's like he's trying to find his community on that subreddit. Just find it. It might be your colleagues at the school districts around you. And we talk about this. Texts are awkward. I don't like making eye contact with people. That's why a text is good. But find people, find K-12 techs that you can hang out with, that you can talk to, just to get you through that burnout stuff.
You know, one other thing that I've done on occasion when I'm having a really rough day and I'm feeling burnt out, and I'm like, okay, it's over. We're done. We're done here. I will go hang out in like a kindergarten classroom, because kindergarten classrooms are fun, or go to an early childhood classroom
and
because
destroy their Christmas trees,
and destroy the Christmas trees. Yes, yeah.
Man, that was a twist in the story.
Wow. I will go to
just
classrooms and I will ruin their Christmas.
Smash the ornaments.
Here's the real story. You walked into that room, you saw that Christmas tree, you're like, I want to tear that thing down. What can I do? And you shoved a Chromebook card up into it.
Yeah.
And then you had remorse.
Yeah. No, just go hang out in a kindergarten classroom, read a story with the kids. That you'll spend 20 minutes in there just hanging out with the kids. Like that will, I think that'll kind of reprioritize things and let you know, one, why you're there. You're there to help those kids
Fix their
learn.
Christmas tree.
Hang the ornaments on the Christmas tree. Yes. Paint reindeers, paint whatever. Yes. You could play Santa Claus.
You were like, Mrs. Smith, she's had 20 work orders this year. I'm going for her room.
I was gonna go smash her tree up. Yeah, it was. I will say that destroying the tree was cathartic.
If I knew Miss Smith, whoever this teacher is, I would tell her, I need you to go into the nearest network closet. I need you to pull all of the cables as hard as you can. And then walk
see
over
how
to
quickly
Josh
comes running.
and say, I just want to let you know what happened, but I plugged a couple of them back in.
I plugged back in as many cables as ornaments. And by the way, I looped it.
Josh, I went into your network closet and it was so dirty. And I got a bucket of water and a rag and I washed down all of your network equipment. Merry Christmas. By the way, the Wi-Fi's down. Go ahead and fix it, please.
Can you fix that, please? All right. Chris, can you talk about Extreme Networks real quick?
Yeah, Extreme Networks, a proud sponsor of the K12 Tech Talk podcast. You can email dmayer@extremenetworks.com. I have replaced all but like 1 or 2 Piddly switches, all with Extreme.
Is that a
I'm
brand
getting
name?
those.
Piddly?
Yeah, Piddly. And I'm getting those replaced actually over Christmas break. They're just some minor ones. I'm going to try to do those myself. But I'm using Cloud IQ, Pilot stuff, whatever. Using Site Engine for my switch config backups as well. All good stuff with Extreme. So email Dominic@extremenetworks.com.
So that's the end of this primary part of this episode. Next week we'll have some we'll do some forecasting. Chris has a crystal ball that he's going to get out, and we're going to forecast what we think is going to be coming in 2024. But first, the rest of this episode is an interview with David Wren that we did, the CEO of NTP. He's been a sponsor with us for a little bit. Chris has an exciting announcement at the end of this
Big
interview.
announcement.
But David is coming on with us to kind of explain what NTP really does. I guess he took offense that we haven't done a good job at explaining what NTP does. They do more than sell SentinelOne EDR. So please stick around for the interview with David. It's good. We kind of talk a little bit about pricing with some of their services. So if you're curious, we keep talking about it. And we keep saying that he can save you money. We kind of allude to what his cost is. So if you're in the market for a next gen AV or an EDR, 24/7 monitored SOC, hang out and listen to this interview.
I was going to say I think Josh has done a good job of explaining NTP, but this isn't like David does a great job of explaining NTP, gets into the EDR pricing, gets into the other services that they do stuff. It was a good interview with David. And he talks about there's some free stuff he's going to give away with K12 Tech Pro if you're not on there yet as well. It's a good interview. Yeah.
So if you're not on K12 Tech Pro and you're curious what we keep talking about, listen to this interview, take action on it, email k12techtalk@gmail.com and take advantage of what David's talking about with as it relates to K12 Tech Pro. So, gentlemen, any closing thoughts?
Love you guys.
All right.
We are K12 Tech Talk, and so are you. So yeah, we're here with David Wren from NTP. We've talked about him for many, many months, and we finally got him to sit down in the hot seat to hang out with us for a few minutes. So, David, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you guys doing?
You know, we're hanging out.
It's almost Christmas. Yeah. I think this was, Chris, wasn't this a condition of, well, you didn't go last week, but this was a condition of, David had a Christmas party last week. Is that last week? And,
Yeah.
You know, it was a holiday Christmas party business. So to make up for that, we're having him on, to make amends for maybe things that were said.
It was a good party, huh?
It was a good party. It was a good, yeah, it was a good party.
We had quite a few K12 there.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we kind of took over that one room. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, David sent me a picture of like some of my favorite people, because I didn't get to attend that party, and I was really jealous of all of the people present in K-12.
Yeah, it was good. So, David, we've been talking about you. You've been a sponsor of the show for, like Chris said, a couple months now, several months now. We hit on the topic that you sell SOC service, 24/7 SOC service, as well as next gen EDR or antivirus. But you guys do a bunch more stuff. So real quick, couple minutes, give us an idea of what NTP does beyond, or if you want to elaborate on what we've already talked about, because we do such a bad job about it.
Yeah.
Let the listeners know what else you guys do that you can help them with.
Yeah. So, we're a full 24/7 SOC. We're 24 and a half years old. I think around April of next year will be our 25th anniversary. So I say we've been doing security before security was cool, right?
Yep.
We started
Yep.
doing network analyzers and doing network assessments. And then, one of the things that we focus on is if you don't know the network very well, you don't know what you're protecting. So understanding networking and everything is key to everybody in our SOC. So we kind of look at that SOC visibility triad, and we look at managed EDR, and which some people think, well, if you're managing an endpoint, that's MDR or NDR, and that's actually not the case. It's a managed endpoint solution. So we do a managed MDR, which is a network-based solution. We do a SIEM, managed SIEM, which is our in-house technology that we've kind of built from the ground up. And we started developing that 8 years ago, and we've been selling it and managing it for 8 years. We have a full team of developers that kind of work on that on a regular basis, just kind of improving, features, functionality, and adding new stuff all the time. So when you look at that, we get the endpoint protection, full EDR. We get threat and vulnerability management. We get the network traffic flow, and we use analyzers and do traffic flow analysis. We have the SIEM for correlating all that information. We've built a SOAR solution for security orchestration, take in critical log data, analyze those logs. And there's a few things that we do that's kind of outside of that, but that's like the core of SOC as a service.
Okay. So when you guys have been in this 24, almost 25 years, I think it's important to note, excuse me, that this isn't just something that you guys got into because you saw it as a vertical that you could make money on. Like, you've been in this for a while, and you're not new to K-12 necessarily. You've had K-12 clients for a while, but you also serve clients outside of K-12. So it's not that you're super niche in K-12 and only pay attention to what they're doing, but you're wide enough or big enough that you are exposed to threat vectors of all sorts, because your client list sees threats that K-12 may not see, and K-12 sees threats that the rest of your clients may not see. So you're a well-rounded well-rounded company from that aspect. Can you speak a little bit to that, about how you guys are seeing K-12 and what similarities they're showing with your other clients? Like, is it all the same? Is there nuance to each one?
Totally different. And, very interesting, because when we first started in security early on, penetration testing was a requirement for healthcare and financial industries. Yep. So we have quite a few customers in that space. And then the DoD had requirements on, their downline for supply chain and manufacturing. So we've got quite a few customers in that space. We do have some Fortune 500 and large healthcare, obviously. And so it's really different. There's similarities, like some of the bad actors and some of the groups are the same, the state sponsored, and then kind of like what we know as the current modern mafia, that has different financial interests in this. I mean, it's a $1 trillion industry, cybercrime is, and
Sure.
Fraud. So we do kind of look in our SIEM and the triggers that we're looking for. If we see it in one industry, we'll kind of put that across the board and watch it everywhere. But as you know, in K-12, it's also an additional item that we see is you guys got some crafty kids, you know, that get into
Sure.
middle school and high school, and we've seen stuff where they're going to DDoS, you know, if they're doing e-testing, you know, we're like, hey, I've got third hour, and they'll actually buy a DDoS against the school during the third hour and bring those tests down. So it's kind of interesting. And you know what our team in the SOC does is we track as much of that and, you know, get on top of it as soon as possible. And then, you know, we do have a managed WAF, you know, solution to protect against those types of things. We do penetration testing, so we find those weaknesses, and we include an annual pen test with our TVM service. So yeah, it's a wide range, but it's fun. And you know, the guys in the SOC every day is different and entertaining. So, you know, they're kind of enjoying that. Every now and then they get out of the office, you know, in teams and do, you know, human compliance or security awareness training. And, you know, we've found ourselves behind teller lines and banks, you know, through human compliance and social engineering. So it's a interesting job for us, I guess.
So I think all of that to say this isn't just something that you guys saw as a new revenue stream and jumped into this, that you know, you might see some companies doing that. This is what NTP has done for almost 25 years. So they know it forward and backward. One of the things that we have talked about is your EDR. You guys resell SentinelOne, or you sell SentinelOne. And I think it's important to talk about the version of SentinelOne, like it's Sentinel Complete, which is one of the top tiers, if not the top tier of Sentinel. But if you're looking at the schools, if you're looking at other EDR type solutions, one that might be called Cold Dog or one that might be called Group Slaps, you get what I'm saying here.
That was good. That was good, Josh.
I know I can't just off the top of my head, man. So I think the important distinction, David, because it's no secret, these can be expensive. These tools can be very expensive, and I think that turns off some people and gets them in a mentality of looking for those cheaper solutions. One that is a number. So I think it's important to say we're not going to give the exact price, but in relative terms, under $50 a month, and I'm not talking $49.99, under $50 a month per client, or I'm sorry, $50 a year per client, not a month, $50 a year per client. They can have your SentinelOne offering managed by the SOC, which is amazing pricing from what I've seen of other products. So if you want to talk about SentinelOne real quick and your relationship with SentinelOne, because I know that's not a short-term relationship either. You know, your SOC's been around 25 years. How long have you guys been working with SentinelOne?
Yeah, so we started working with SentinelOne. I think they started selling licenses, selling product in 2016, 2017. And we were early adopters, you know. We were at the time kind of partnered up with that Group Slap solution. And that was one of our complaints, because it was pricey, and then you get creep, and it creeps, you know, the subscription creeps every year. So we did some side-by-side comparisons. We have a lab, and we bring, you know, even when we see new stuff come across, we throw that in a lab, and, you know, our guys throw everything at it. And, you know, we were very impressed with the way that S1, SentinelOne kind of handled all of that. And we went to one of our clients, a larger K-12 in the St. Louis region. I think they have about 4,500 S1 licenses in their environment right now that we manage for them. And we put it side by side with that. And, you know, S1 cut, we intentionally, you know, threw some malware, and we're like, hey, go to this website, download, you know, like VirusTotal, download 100 of these and let's see what happens. And S1 got 100% right away. And 2 weeks later, somebody from Group Slap would have contacted them and said, hey, you know how you have this on that machine. So that was an eye opener for them and us. It's like, wow, you know, 2 weeks to get notified of something in your environment. The longer bad actors and ransomware or malware is running in your environment, the harder it is to remediate and get it out of there. So the other thing is, when you go to purchase a product and you're negotiating, if you're a small district and you got 50, 100, 250 licenses or users, or you're a large district, you got 4,000, you know, we have tens and tens of thousands of licenses. So, you know, our negotiating block is pretty strong. So that's how we are able to kind of get this to K-12 at the price point that we do.
Sure. So you mentioned a client in St. Louis or a K-12 in St. Louis, and you know your that SOC service can be done easily remotely. Like you're not on site at any of your clients. But I think another important distinction that we need to clarify is you don't need to be in the St. Louis region. You don't need to be in Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, Kentucky. Like you can offer this service to anybody across the country, right? Like you've got clients in other states. So I think that's an important distinction too.
Yeah, and just from the past few months of you guys talking about us, we've gotten K-12 districts, you know, small and large, all across the country. We've got some large districts in Michigan. We've got districts in the Seattle area, so Ohio, and you know, it's kind of nice to see how the community kind of sticks together. And one of the reasons we like partnering with you guys is we like your passion, we like your mission and what you're doing, and that's kind of always been one of our philosophies. Is we don't want to come across as a sales guy. We want to come across as a trusted advisor and a partner, and look for the best solutions for our clients. Because with everything that we do, we're really about a long-term relationship. And when you have our SOC, we look at that as we're your employees, we're an extension of your team, and we're doing everything that we can to protect your brand just as much as our own brand on a daily basis, like every hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second.
That's awesome. And that's, I think, a really good way to wrap this up. Chris, I think you have an important announcement though about
I
our
do.
relationship.
David used this really great word. He mentioned the word partner. We do have sponsors, and we do, you know, I don't want to misspeak and say that we don't treat our sponsors like they are partners, but we're in this thing together. We're working for the good of the cause. But David and NTP, we've been searching. You know, we talk about Midwest Tech Talk, the conferences. We talk about K-12 Tech Pro, the website and the community. And then we have the podcast. And we've talked about trying to find a partner to work with that's all in for the good of the cause, for the big picture stuff, trying to shake things up in K-12, take care of each other, take care of K-12. And NTP, we're excited to say, is going to be our first ever diamond partner for 2024. And I'm just super excited about being able to say that sentence and then what that sentence means. They're going to be hanging out with us on the podcast through many, many episodes of 2024. The K-12 Tech Pro regional meetups all across the nation. They are partnering up for us to be able to attend those. So we have those cooking. I think probably in the next week or so, we're going to announce, and I can kind of tell you the cities that we're going to be in: San Diego, that we're going to be in Dallas. We announced the one for the Midwest and Columbia already for all of 2024. NTP is going to be at the Midwest Tech Talk Technical Conference in July. And in particular with the K-12 Tech Pro community, it's been cooking and it's being talked about that we want to do like a cybersecurity coalition. We're coming up with, these are the standards that we're going to follow. You know, here's your email stuff that you need to do, SPF, DMARC, DKIM, and here's the article, and here's the good tech to reach out to. But we're going to merge all that together with NTP, where we can talk about EDR, and we have NTP to lean on to get vendor neutral advice on things, but to also get vendor detailed advice as well. So David, thank you for partnering with us. I think you're as excited as we are about it.
Absolutely. You know, the partnership thus far has been great for us, and we really appreciate it. You know, we enjoy working with you guys. It's a lot of fun. Going to your conferences is a lot of fun. So we really enjoy that. I enjoy one of the things that Josh asked earlier is like one of the differences between, the corporate world versus K-12. Going to the K-12 reminds me of the corporate world like 15 to 20 years ago. It was a lot more fun, right?
Mhm.
And that environment isn't as fun anymore, right? So when you go to these K-12 events, everybody knows everybody. It's a lot of fun. Everybody's sharing information. So, we love being a part of that. And then I know we sponsor some of the members
Yes.
K-12 Tech Pro. But from this podcast today, what I'd like to do is say, hey, we'll sponsor another 20 members. Like the first 20 that give you guys a call from today's episode.
Awesome.
Just make an introduction and we'll cover their membership.
Awesome. That's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah, the NTP partnership too, it's just going to let us do a lot. We've talked about, and I would love for this I'm going to say this, I would hate for this to happen, but love for it to happen. When a school in Arkansas is under a cyber attack, which I don't want to happen to any
I was
school in
say,
Arkansas.
why are you picking on
I
Arkansas?
know. But this partnership is going to let us try to move some resources to maybe help them if they're on K-12 Tech Pro, even if that resource is Josh driving and buying pizza for that tech department and hanging out with them.
I would buy beer. If you're gonna send me for pizza, I'm bringing beer.
Okay. Pizza and maybe some beer.
Yes.
If it's me that shows up, we're probably going to drink some energy drinks together.
Yeah, Chris won't bring beer.
Whatever.
Ask for Josh and maybe Mark. Mark will bring probably lobster tail from New England or something. I'll bring the beer from
But it's going to open that door up. If you're in a tech department and all the tech departments in your side of the state, wherever you're at, salaries suck, and you're wanting an advocate to do some salary research, Eric, the intern, is going to be willing to do some data research, and he might show up at your superintendent's door if you want us to. It's going to let us change the game. Again, K-12 Tech Pro, a family, a community. We want to flip tables in a positive way for K-12 tech departments. That's what this partnership, some of it, is going to do. And again, the cybersecurity stuff, the coalition stuff, I know is going to be a big deal.
All right, cool. David, we appreciate you coming on, spending 20 minutes with us or so, and we look forward to this ongoing relationship for the majority of 2024, and I foresee it lasting quite a bit longer than that.
Excellent. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The views and opinions expressed on the K-12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.